Hey, shalom, shalom. It's your brother Raza Allah from GMS London Camp. First and foremost, want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Blessings to the hopeful and sincere elect. Time of great sedition and uproars of the people. So it tells you in the scriptures, Proverbs 29:2, when the wicked bear fall, the people mourn. When the righteous bear fall, the people rejoice. And right now, the spirit on the earth right now, as wickedness is intensifying all around the four corners of the earth, and the love of many is waxing colder and colder, man. And now, we're having a lot of these protests, demonstrations against immigration, with all these so-called psyop attacks that's been happening over lately, over here in the UK. And also, they're pushing that vibration over there in America with, that gook that got exonerated from murdering that innocent Jake in his local store, convenience store. And then other shootings, like even at this moment in time, I seen there's a mass shooting going on with a live shooter. I think it's over there in Oakland or something, that area. Going on as we speak right now. There's a mass shooter on the loose on some Jason Bourne type shit. Over there in the Americas, terrorizing the peoples, and it's being, tracked down by the police. You had the shooting of the 12 bullets that was coming from the IR-15 from an Edomite that was attacking the Jake family that was having a children's birthday party outside of their house, a gathering, so to speak, and he got, emotional about it. Started shouting racial slurs before letting off about 12 rounds or something to that effect into that family's households, including men, women, and children, which fortunate enough, no one got injured or killed. But one of the family members was an ex-Marine, was able to ward off the intruder, Edomite intruder, by shooting back at him basically and defending the family that he was trying to attack and murder. And this is the spirit that's on the earth right now. The spirit of sedition, uproars, as I said. You got this protest going on in Glasgow regarding a pro-immigration demonstration, because there's been a lot of racial attacks, so-called, which is psyops by the wicked elite. Basically, they're activating a lot of sleeper cells right now with these immigrants that they've brought over from different parts of the earth, mainly of Somalian and Sudanese ethnicity, so-called Africans. And there's been a lot of stabbings that's been going on between so-called immigrants and these Edomites in Northern Ireland as well. You had riots for the past 2-3 days in Belfast, Northern Ireland as well. So the spirit on the earth right now is getting riled. People are getting roused up. People are fed up. They they want justice, and if they ain't gonna get justice from the government, they're gonna go out and get it from themselves, man. Street justice. They're gonna be balaclavaed up, wearing shiesties, as you can see in this video here, where the Edomites will masked up, and they're gonna go to war with the government, man. Anyone that comes up against them, the authorities, and so on and so forth. So this is definitely a time of Macy civil unrest. Spirit of civil war is definitely brewing around the four winds of the earth, especially over there in America right now, with all these racial attacks that's been happening, shootings, these mass shootings that are happening all of a sudden. Like Esau is definitely awakening them sleeper cells. And you got the same situation going on over here with the immigration situation or problem they're saying they're having over here in the UK, where they want to make Britain great again. They want to take Britain back, just like they want to make America great again. And they want to, so-called reform the political parties, so to speak, and so on and so forth. But we all know it's just a ruse for the wicked elite, where we bring chaos. And through the chaos that they're going to ensue, they're going to bring forth that order, which is a new world order, man. A new draconian dystopian order of surveillance, man. A technocratic surveillance society, police state. It's going to be governed by AI and these supercomputers. and people are going to be surveilled by, that mark of the beast, which is the RFID hip. This is what this is all leading to, man. A collapse of this old world and a restart or great reset of the new world order, man. So this is no uh joke, so to speak. This is definitely leading down that path of sedition and perdition as well of society. And Scripture says there's going to be men in that seditious behavior with swords in their hand. The modern day sword is the gun. You got the red states over there in the Americas where it's permissible for people to carry out their Second Amendment rights to carrying weapons. The red states in the Americas, and then you got the blue states, which is more restricted. But the America's going to become the Wild Wild West all over again, man. And over there in Northern Ireland, funny enough, they had a big psyop event of a mass nearly so-called immigration attack that was going to be a Edomite getting beheaded on the main street by a Sudanese immigrant, which is, as I said, it's basically a psyop. But either way, it's legal for them to carry guns over there in Northern Ireland. Other than in most parts of the UK, you don't have license to carry no guns, but in Northern Ireland you are allowed to legally carry a weapon. So there's no coinky dink that attack happened over there in Northern Ireland, Belfast area, so they can push for more violence, more bloodshed, man, if it needs to be done, which is going to lead to that anyway, because we're in that time. So I just wanted to do a quick highlight, because the spirit on the earth right now, pure uproars of the people are getting fed up, they've had enough, and they're tired of this government, they're tired of the austerity measures from the government, and the lies that they're getting from these politicians, and the price of living, the cost of living that's skyrocketing, is unaffordable for them to survive, to feed them and their families. Even in the midst of all these so-called Edomites, there's Jakes there as well, wearing them Pusheisties and all of that, but nevertheless, the 2/3 that get involved in that, they're going to get caught out there. And ultimately, this civil war, race riots, class riots, it's going to be an attack upon blacks so-called against whites. And really, it's against Jacob v Esau, and you're going to have Jakes mingled in amongst the other Edomites, looking like Edomites, but really they're of the stock of Israel, especially in places like Ireland and all of that, Scotland and Glasgow, all these places. But even so, there's going to be Jake's going to be the main target, the face of terrorism, so to speak, the new domestic tease that they need to basically get out of the country, because they're gonna be the main cause for the decline of this British Empire, so to speak, as they're complaining about, and they want to make America great again by getting rid of the immigrants and all this situation. But they're not talking about the European immigrants, the Polish and all those different Slavic immigrants that come into the country. They're concentrating on the darker hue ones, and we know why, because Esau's trying to push that perpetual hatred for Esau, basically the Edomites, so-called whites, to hate on dark-skinned people, man, so-called black people. And not all dark-skinned people are the same nation, man. You got dark Sudanese, you got dark Somalians, and then you got Israelites, man, West Indians and all of that. You got Judah, Benjamin and Levi, which are dark skin, of the southern kingdom, so-called brown, not so-called brown, so-called black, different shades of brown. So, they're trying to lump everyone in that same bucket. But it's not gonna go to these devils' plan as they think, because scriptures tell you that, the Lord gonna put a cold spirit on Jake and rouse them up. Right now, Judah's like a lion's whelp, like a young lion couched down, very docile, and hasn't got that spring in his steps, so to speak. But the Lord's about to change that, man, with all these different mass shootings that's happening and psyops that's going on right now, these attacks where Jake is getting their back put against the wall. No, it's gonna get to that point. You had a Kamalo Anthony situation where he killed that Edomite, and they threw him under the prison, you know, and but they didn't have the same type of judgment for that Gook that killed that Jake man, and he was known for having a racist history against Jake, but he owned a convenience store in the hood in the ghetto. Similar to the movie you watched, Don't Be a Menace in Society while drinking your juice, with the Wayans brothers and all of that. That type of situation where you got a Gook running a convenience store in the ghetto. At the same time, he hates niggas at the same time, but he wants them to buy food and products from his store, and don't steal. Hurry up and buy, hurry up and buy. Like him and his wife were saying in the damn movie, in a clip, when you watch that movie. And it's funny because now they're boycotting, Jake is boycotting going to that store and buying stuff from that convenience store, and the Gooks are getting upset. They're doing videos ranting, saying that, you blacks this and you blacks that, because they're boycotting buying any products from that Gook store because they know they're a bunch of racist Gooks. But that's part of that rich man, Lazarus and the rich man, and the dogs representing the other nations eating the crumbs off the table, which represents these other nations, these Gooks, these Hamites that come into, our countries, or, our places of captivity, and they benefit by setting up businesses there in the ghetto. Even though they're feeding us poisons and so on and so forth, they set up their little, meaty restaurants and convenience stores, 911s, or 711 should I say, 911s, selling 40 ounces and so on and so forth to Jake, which is straight up poison and Kool-Aid and all of that. But they ain't complaining about killing us off with their products, that's provided by the devil that they buy their stock from. But they're complaining about Jake, coming into them being in their area, when you set up the store in the fucking ghetto. If you didn't want to be around Jake's, you could have gone to the more suburb parts of America, the different cities and states, and set up a convenience store there. But you didn't want to do that. You wanted to come to the ghetto because you wanted to get the crumbs of Jake. You wanted to get rich off Jake's back because we're in a captivity. We're in a lower state. So anyway, man, F these other nations, man, and that spirit of sedition is definitely going to keep intensifying to the point of no return. That civil war is going to come, and these are definitely seditious times, so we got to stay vigilant and keep watching as well as praying, man, because it's going to get violent out here. Go from civilized to uncivilized real quick, as I always say. Could be a very hot summer. This is Isaiah 19:2. It says, I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. It says, and I will set, and they shall fight, everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And that's the spirit that the Lord's pushing on the earth right now. That's the spirit that's emanating from these heathens. Egyptian against Egyptian, so-called American citizens fighting other American citizens, or immigrants that are coming into the land. They call them aliens. But Esau's the real alien because he came to a foreign land and stole that habitation from the indigenous tribes that was already over there, which are our people, man, of the northern kingdoms, so-called Hispanic and Native American tribes of the nation of Israel, man. So Esau's the real alien, but he calls Jake aliens in their own land. But either way, it's going to be an American citizen against American citizen, so to speak, and they're going to be fighting. And in that day, the friends are going to become enemies, man. It's going to get very volatile, real quick. It could be a hot summer this year, man. Hopefully it kicks off from now till then, and further down the line, man, leading into martial law, then the mark of the beast being made mandatory, then ultimately the nuclear fire torching this whole kingdom to its destruction, man. That's what we ultimately want if you're part of the Lord's elect. If you're earnestly contending for this truth. So it says things to come, right? In the heading. Luke 21:10. It says, then said he unto them, this is Yahweh Shai speaking, nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. So even the Lord right there is quoting Isaiah the 19th chapter, man. Nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, man. And that's exactly the times that we're living in. These are things to come, meaning prophecies that are getting ready to come to pass in these last days. It says, and that great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilences and fearful sights. A great sign shall it be from heaven. Now you just had a major earthquake the other day, like 48 hours ago, over there in the Philippines. Something like 8.4 on the Richter scale. Magnitude tore up the whole, different lands over there in the Philippines, if I'm not mistaken, and left a lot of them gooks over there, destitute and effed up, basically. A lot of death, a lot of dead bodies is basically being found in that rubble, and that earthquake that touched them Filipinos over there. That's judgment from the Lord. The Lord said there's going to be great earthquakes in diverse places, showing you that the Lord doesn't love everyone, man. He hates these other nations. These other nations are just NPCs, man. They're just extra characters in the Lord's movie, man. They have no significance. There was a drop of a bucket from a vessel, a droplet. The Lord's not concerned with them. The Lord didn't make no covenant with the heathen. He only made it with the children of Israel, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. So that's why the Lord's always hitting up them gooks and them different islands and all of that, with them different those harsh tremors and earthquakes, man, tearing up their whole habitation. And that's good, because these heathens are proud, man. These heathens are ever reputed as being nothing, and now they're ruling over us, man, because we're still under punishment from Yahweh Hashem Yahushua for breaking these commandments. But now we're coming to the fulfillment of that. The Lord said our punishment has been accomplished, O daughter of Zion. But now these Edomites and these other nations are going to start feeling the curses, man, pursuant to Deuteronomy 30:7. Going into the kingdom, even more so. Saying that the tables are turning, man, trading the places. So even that right now with these race rights situations, we're not always going to be on the bottom, so to speak. There is going to be retribution, man. Hopefully brothers can still hear me. But there is going to be retribution, man. And as I said, there's going to be a trade in the places. The Lord's going to give Jake the upper hand. Like right now, the other nations, they're going to band together and they're going to take a lot of Jakes out, especially in the midst of Jacob's trouble. But the Lord's going to flip the switch, and Jake's going to get the upper hand once the time is once the time is right. This is Micah 5:7. It says, and the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people, as a dew from the Lord. It says, as the showers upon the grass, that tarrieth not for man. It says, nor waiteth for the sons of men. It says, and the remnant of Jacob shall be amongst the Gentiles, in the midst of many people, as a lion among the beasts of the forest. The lion's the king of the jungle, as they say. So that's going to be Jake. And we're going to be young, virile type lions as well. Full of energy, robust, and Lord going to endow certain men with spiritual power too. And we're going to go to work on these other nations, man, especially Esau, Edom. It says, as a young lion among the flocks of sheep. It says, if you go through, both teareth down and teareth in pieces, and none can deliver. So there's going to come a time when we're going to get the upper hand. The Lord's going to, protect Jake, especially of the elect. The Lord said He's going to turn fishers into hunters. That people should be willing in the day of thy power. All those good precepts right there, showing you that the men of the Lord are going to receive spiritual power and be able to fight off the enemy when the time comes, man. Isaiah 59:19. When the enemy shall come in as a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against them. So that spiritual power is going to be definitely needed, and the angels are going to come and intervene too. Even Michael the archangel is going to come from his habitation in the heavens, and he's going to come and defend Jerusalem, or defend Jacob, which is the 12 tribes of Israel, the elect, in these last days, man. So there's going to be a lot of spiritual power, a lot of spectacular works and miracles being done in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, exalt and magnify those names. Just like in ancient Egypt with Moses and Aaron, and when the Lord came with the chariots to defend Jerusalem back then too, defend Israel from them Hamites that was chasing us down through the Red Sea, the Gulf of Suez. So spectacular works is coming, man, and we can't stress it enough. And the Lord said in Ezekiel 25, He's going to put His Spirit. We're going to take vengeance in His anger upon the other nations, especially Esau, Edom. The Lord said we're going to be taking fury. That He's going to put His spirit of fury and anger on us to attack the enemy, man. So that's going to be a whole different level of force, power, and anger that we're going to demonstrate on these other nations, man. Our brothers will be of the Lord's elect, and brothers can't wait, but we have to sit patient. Patience is a virtue, the Lord said, let patience possess your soul, and wait ye upon Him. So that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for the green light from Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, man. But 2/3, even 2/3, these YNs, the Lord gonna put them to work too against these other nations. They're gonna go treading down these other nations and tearing their asses up. All that energy that they put into, chasing each other down with, machetes and knives and kitchen knives and so on and so forth. The Lord gonna let them use that energy to go after the real enemy, which is Esau, Edom, and these other nations. So this is definitely gonna be a volatile time of more violence and bloodshed, more than ever before. And Abu Ratazar starts this summer, very hot summer, and onwards. But that spirit of uproars and sedition is definitely in the air right now. From all the videos and all the breaking news articles that's coming out as of late, all these racial attacks, man, and mass shootings that's going on. So we definitely got to keep our eyes peeled, So anyway, with that, I'm going to close out. Give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash. Shalom to the hopeful and sincere elect.